This is the Westchester County Youth Bureau Empowerment Council for Change, also known as the YECC presentation today. We are so excited because we have a fantastic panel of experts from Westchester County, as well as young people who have displayed an inherent interest in sustainability as well as environmental change. I am your host, I guess, just for introductions, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Caitlin Carpenter, who is a high school student from Mamaroneck, who will lead us through this lively discussion. Just to give you a little context, this is the Westchester County Youth Bureau, and we have multiple youth boards and councils that promote youth voice. This event today has been created by the YECC, who is partnering with department heads such as Peter McCart, who's Westchester County's Director of Energy and Conservation and Sustainability, Mrs. Melissa Rotini Esquire, who is a lawyer, but also a director within the Environmental Management Operations and Solid Waste Division. We also have Mr. Sean O'Rourke, who is a program administrator as well. So we thank you for participating today. And the overarching goal really is for our young people to utilize their voice to educate and encourage their peers and residents on strategies to reduce food waste in their homes. I'd like to ask first if everyone could mute themselves, because I hope it's not on my end, but I am hearing some feedback. But if you would kindly mute yourself, that would be appreciated. Again, we want to thank Caitlin Carpenter, who is hailing from Mamaroneck, New York, and she has spearheaded this event along with her colleagues who serve on the YECC, who will also be introduced later. And just as a point of reference, the Youth Empowerment Council for Change, YECC, was created in 2018. I had recently been appointed actually by our county executive, George Latimer. And after reviewing what we have traditionally done, which is have young people serve on our youth board, which thanks to our Board of Legislators, who are also some are present today, who I will acknowledge, we only have space for about 5 young people on the youth board. Therefore, I thought it was important to include an ad hoc committee, which would allow more youth voices. As time kind of went by, more young people started to hear about the YECC, and I am so proud that we are now a body of approximately 40 youth from throughout Westchester County. And this body really affords young people the opportunity to prepare for adulthood and become champions within their communities. The YECC is comprised of middle and high school students. So, if you know of a young person who's interested in becoming civically engaged and involved, please invite them to contact the Westchester County Youth Bureau. The council actually serves as a council of councils. So while many different, organizations throughout the county have youth councils, we like to have representation from those councils, but also we bring a separate and different lens as a government entity. We have traveled to Albany. We have had multiple conversations with elected officials. We interface with our county legislators who have been champions of the Youth Bureau and its young people. And so, we're really here to promote good citizenship through volunteer service and projects like today, but also to discuss the most salient issues that young people face and find strategies to address them here in Westchester County. And that's why we're the Bestchester, Westchester, the Bestchester. So again, we encourage you, if you know of young people who would like to lend their voice to the YECC, please contact us. Before I introduce our message from the county executive, who unfortunately could not be here today, but did take the time to report a message for us, I'd like to acknowledge some of the champions that not just have helped the Youth Bureau, obviously helped others within the county regarding environmental stewardship, and has supported the YECC on a number of fronts. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Damon Mayer, who is our legislator, as well as Nancy Barr, Mary Jane Shimsky, and legislator Ruth Walters, who are all present today. And we really appreciate the fact that you have taken the time to join us and to listen to and work with our young people. There's so much more to come as young people start to address all of the social ills that they're experiencing, the educational challenges that have been, kind of exasperated through COVID, and all in between. So I will stop talking and I will turn it over to Susan, who will allow us to hear greetings from George Latimer, and then we will have Caitlin officially start the program. Thank you.
Hi, I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I want to bring greetings on behalf of all of the county government for today's gathering, the Youth Empowerment Council for Change, YECC. We're obviously meeting virtually, given the COVID virus, but we can exchange information and recognize those who've made great contributions in this format, and hopefully next year we can do this in person. Youth are empowered in our society to use their voices to educate their peers and encourage all residents to address climate change and sustainability. Caitlin Carpenter, who's the YECC co-president, is very passionate about the environment and sustainability efforts. She initially planned this event last year and communicated directly with the panelists who will be here today, and has been supported by the Youth Bureau in her efforts. The webinar features presentations by youth and adults about the history of food waste and the food scrap recycling multi-pronged approach, using Feeding Westchester, home composting by selling compost bins at wholesale cost, Compost Ed Education Center, which is under development and soon to open, residential food scrap transportation, and disposal program. I want to compliment the work of Peter McCart, who is our Director of Sustainability in Westchester County. We've worked closely together on as many initiatives that include food scrap recycling, as we've mentioned, also solar collection program, the conversion of our bus fleet from diesel to hybrid and electric usage, all of the many environmental initiatives that are so important. For all that are here who are young, you are going to live in a world that is going to face all of the elements of climate change. And we want to know that the world that we hand over to you is in better condition so that you can deal with this crisis in an effective way and pass the test that your generation will face in dealing with the environmental issues. The other panelists that are with us today to discuss this topic from our Department of Environmental Facilities include Melissa Rotini, Sean O'Rourke, and we're very fortunate to have these professionals working with us to accomplish this. So again, I welcome you together for this forum. We know that you'll have a productive time listening to the speakers, asking and getting answers to questions that are important to you. Understand that we're all committed to this work ahead of us, and we intend to do everything we can to advance this element, which is an important element in fighting climate change. I'm George Latimer, County Executive. We hope you have a wonderful conference together.
Thank you for listening to that introduction from George. As I was speaking, the video started rolling. I don't want anyone to panic. I was making actually a joke to say that Susan has been through so much learning the technology on this end, and I want to thank Carl Pagano for assisting us from IT, that she may just decide to change careers and join the IT workforce. So thank you, Susan. Thank you, Carl, for making this a reality. And with that said, Caitlin, I'm turning it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here today. I was saying this earlier before we started, we have a fantastic group of sustainability heads on this call. It's really a powerful thing, going to overwhelm the WebEx. Anyways, welcome everybody, as we said before, to this webinar. We're super excited to present to you, give you a little bit more context about food waste, and just in a very general sense, you might learn some things, you will learn some things you probably don't know about food waste as a whole. And then you're also going to learn some things about how food waste and how food waste is reduced within Westchester County, and how we're actively working to make sure that we are as sustainable as possible, and that we're as not wasteful as possible. The name of not of wasteful. Yeah, if we could go to the next slide. So we have our little title here, food waste, how we got here and where we go now. This is what I was talking about with the context of food waste and then moving into how we can reduce it. We have panelists. Everybody's going to introduce themselves as they speak, so I need to read, but feel free to look over everybody here. Notice that we have a variety of students from the YECC. I'm from Amerenik. I'm a junior there. And then we have people from Dobbs Ferry, Harrison, Scarsdale, actually Dobbs Ferry Middle and High School, which is really cool. And we have people from County Executive Office. You already hear a little bit from Peter McCart, and you're going to hear a lot more from all these names in the upcoming moments. Yeah, so that's it for me. I'm going to pass it on to Claudia, who's going to start us off, again, giving some context for food waste as a whole. Go for it, Claudia.
Uh, Sorry, I don't think I can hear Claudio.
Neither can I.
As we work out through some technical difficulties. Claudio, do you have headsets in? If you have headsets in, try taking them out. If you don't have headsets in, try putting them in. And we can kind of, I guess, talk a little bit as we wait for Claudio. Yeah. I guess we can start maybe with a question that I think Claudia was going to ask as he was talking. But this is a cool thing to do before we go way back. So he's going to give a little bit more of a historical context for this. However, I think it's interesting. I found this interesting exercise. Everybody has like a favorite time period of history. Think about how food was utilized during that time period. It's something that we don't often think about, but it's actually a really big part of human culture. Is how we use food and also whether we save food or whether we throw it out. And it reflects a lot on our society. So interesting to think of just a period of time anywhere in the world and think about how food was a part of that period of time in history. Claudia, you want to try again?
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Wonderful. Yes.
All
Go
right,
for it.
perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've been having difficult technical issues lately. All right. So again, as I was saying before, yes, feudal Europe, especially before, slightly before the Industrial Revolution, so 17th century, was greatly influenced by religion, obviously, and also between classes. More noble, the higher classes, the noble estates, would usually have more pressure on them from both the church and the people to waste less food.
Oh,
Audio cut out. It's okay. This has actually happened on previous calls. I think there's something happening with his computer. We're gonna hope he comes back. Oh, he's
Is
back.
oh, I'm back.
Wonderful.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Finish
I'm
up
so
quickly
sorry.
before it happens
Yeah.
again.
And so essentially, the noble classes were extremely pressured by both religion and the people to waste a lot less food. The people, and which is will be the serf.
Audio, you keep cutting out. I'm so sorry. I think we're just gonna move forward if that's okay. He might be back soon. Um, I can finish up with like intros if he has more time at the end, he can go back. But basically setting the scene, going way back in history. And now we're gonna move a little bit forward to something that we're all familiar with and that has shaped our society. That you probably have heard of in history class sometime, which is the Industrial Revolution with Kavi.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hi, everyone. I'm Kavya Mishra. I'm in 8th grade at Dobbs Ferry Middle School. So, during the Industrial Revolution, there was a massive increase in production rates due to automation, which allowed for production of many more goods in less time and for less money. While this didn't directly lead to some of the food waste habits which our society has today, I'm sure all of you are familiar with a few of those. It did start to create apathy towards food waste. However, especially during the early stages of the Industrial Revolution, such as the First Industrial Revolution, the feudal outlook on food waste was still very much present. Some scholars, such as Thomas Malthus, took to the theory that the population boom created by the revolution would soon surpass food production, leading to mass starvation and lack of resources. Overall, the Industrial Revolution brought about the start of detachment towards food waste and furthered the decline of feudal customs, amongst which was the more frugal outlook on food waste. In the 21st century, the impacts of the Industrial Revolution have remained, as well as the perspective upon food waste. However, some attention has been brought toward the issue, but not enough, as Shweta can elaborate on from here.
Great points, Kavya. Hi, I'm Shweta. I'm a current sophomore at Harrison High School. The effects of food waste are detrimental to our environment. Food waste that is produced is about 250 cubic kilometers, which occupies about 30% of the world's agricultural land. There are three main causes of food waste: insufficient skills, poor food practices, and the lack of proper infrastructure. Some studies have even shown that when food is not aesthetically pleasing, it can be thrown into the garbage. People try to buy excess food to stock up their pantry so that it will last them for the week. But what really ends up happening is that food just ends up getting thrown away into the garbage can. Lastly, eating old food just isn't as effective or nutritious for the human body, so eating as fresh food as possible is vital for health. I will now pass it on to Rita, who will talk about one of the R's, reduction.
Thank you, Shweta. Hi, my name is Rita Iyengar, and I'm a junior at Scarsdale High School. As Shweta explained, that there are many impacts of food waste, but there are also many ways to reduce food waste. A way we can reduce food waste is to make a list of meals to eat at home and create weekly menus in advance, also known as meal prepping. Planning these meals before shopping at the grocery store can help you know exactly what you're getting. Make sure to include how many meals that particular dish will make. So for example, 2 meals. This way you won't be buying unnecessary amounts of food, leading to food waste. You should also store food properly and research the best ways to store certain foods. Certain foods give off natural gases and spoil other foods. Another tip is to declutter your fridge or your food pantry. This way you won't forget which foods you already have and won't buy, again, excess amounts of food, which again leads to waste. If you find overripe fruits in your fridge that give an unappealing appearance, use them for a fresh smoothie instead of throwing them out. You can also save the seeds of fruits and vegetables. You can use these seeds to grow your own produce, have a garden, and save money on weekly groceries. A last tip is to keep the skins of fruits and vegetables, as they're filled with antioxidants, nutrients, and other health benefits. If you cannot eat the skins, you can throw them away in a bin dedicated to composting. That way you're creating your own nutrient-rich soil. There are many ways to reduce food waste and incorporate sustainable habits into your daily life. Even though it may seem like a huge lifestyle change, all you have to do is start small and take more conscious steps to create change in your community. Our next speakers will go over the programs in Westchester that will help reduce food waste.
Yeah, so it is now my pleasure to introduce, I think we're going to start with Peter McCart, and he is Director of Energy Conservation and Sustainability here at the county. And he's just going to give a little bit of a general overview and then introduce our other two speakers. And yeah, super excited to hear from you guys. Take it away.
Thank you, Caitlin. That was so interesting about the history of food. I don't really think about it that way, and that was very interesting. Thank you for pulling that together. And I'm going to dig in deeper now. You've piqued my interest into it. Food scrap recycling has been a priority of County Executive Vladimir, as you could tell, from day one, and we are proud of the initiatives and progress that we've made over the last 3 years. It starts with these are all kind of things that George had mentioned, but we started with our comprehensive support of Feeding Westchester to ensure that viable food makes its way to people that need it before it even enters our waste stream. And then it continues with our home composting campaign and our innovative Department of Environmental Facility programs. By the way, you can buy compost bins and rain barrels at near wholesale cost, and I will put the sale link in the chat. You must reserve by next Tuesday and then pick up either April 23rd or April 24th at Peekskill, Greenberg Nature Center, or at Saxon Woods County Park near the pool. Again, I'll put that link in the chat to sign up if you're interested in getting a rain barrel at cost. As you will see, and probably already know, the thoughtful residents of Westchester are volunteering their time and efforts, and we here in the county government have strongly supported and promoted that momentum forward. I want to publicly thank DEF Commissioner Kopicki and Deputy Commissioner Lou Vitrone for their leadership. And now I'm proud to introduce the innovative Melissa Rotini, Director, Environmental Management Operations, Solid Waste Division. And take it away, Melissa, and thank you for everything you do. It's all you, Melissa.
Would help if I unmute, right? I guess technology is what it is. Well, now that I've been talking for a few minutes, let me go back. I was just saying that, yes, Peter, thank you very much for having me, first of all. Thank you for the lovely introduction, Peter. No pressure on that either with the lovely introduction you gave me. And I too was going to thank many of the people that Pete also thanked. We've had such great support from Commissioner Kopicki, from Deputy Commissioner Lou Vitrone, from the CE's office right up to the top with our executive Latimer and with our director of operations, Joe McDonald, and Pete's been great. We just have such a great team here, and it is wonderful to see such a talented group of young people so interested in topics and doing such great background research and information. And the other speakers already covered reducing, reusing, donating. So I'm going to handle the recycling portion for us here. So what do we have? With the county, we have developed the Residential Food Scrap Transportation and Disposal Program. That is a program that aims to make food scrap recycling affordable for municipalities. There are several municipalities, as you can see listed here, that have existing food scrap programs. The italicized municipalities have joined our RFSTAD. It's not a great acronym, but it is what it is. And the two in bold, Pelham and White Plains, are actually new. They did not have food scrap programs before the county brought this program out, and now they do, and we think that's really great. And we are, of course, working with several other municipalities, some on the list and some not listed, who are also coming onto the program and starting up new food scrap initiatives. So it's very exciting how the residents of the county have really just embraced, and they are so great at recycling and really understanding the way that our environment works and how important these steps are. So this program that we have is completely voluntary. And what it does is it subsidizes the cost for transportation and recycling. And those are really the most important, the heaviest costs. So when you start a drop-off program, for example, you're setting up like in this photo, and you have an area where people can bring their food scraps. So you just set them aside while you're going and preparing your meals. If you peel that potato, you set those potato scraps aside. You put them perhaps in an airtight container. Perhaps you place that in the freezer to eliminate any odors, and then you bring them to your drop-off site. And the county has arranged a contract to have those brought bulked together so that all the municipalities are put together and then taken to be composted either in Westchester or in Ulster County, depending on the amount that we've collected. And so that's really a great thing, and we're very, very pleased with that program. And then the other program that we have is our DEF Compost and Education Facility. Even County Executive Latimer mentioned it as composted. That is our nickname for it. You can see it under construction in the photograph there. It's actually a bit further along because we are opening on Earth Day next week. We are very excited about this location, and what this is it is a small scale composting site where we are going to be offering educational programs. So municipal officials, residents, student groups can all come and they can learn about the environmental benefits of composting. They can learn about local food scrapping programs. They can also learn about home composting, and the municipal officials can also see what a small scale facility looks like. So if they have a location where they were thinking they might be able to compost organics and collect in food scraps, we want to be able to show them how they can do that. And we're going to be collecting the food scraps that will be used at this site at farmers markets, which gives us another opportunity to get out into the public and educate about food scrap recycling to municipalities and to residents. So again, thank you very much. And if anyone has any questions, please put them in the Q&A or in the chat, and we will be happy to answer them. But thank you again for having us.
Thank you, Melissa. And you always say it's a small facility. It's I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I don't think it's that small. I think it's it's a size of what a municipality might have, right? Or a school or some other large institution.
Perhaps a large institution, yes. It's about 2 tons of food scraps a week is what we were planning on taking. So depending on the program, if your municipality has the ability to have a curbside program, you may be collecting more than that. But if you are doing a drop-off program, that may be around the range. But again, if this is something that a municipality wanted to do, you may have multiple small sites if that were something to kind of keep it local and avoid the transportation on it. But yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that was very exciting. I'm now very excited for Earth Day. I mean, I was already excited for Earth Day. There are so many great things happening, but this is even more of a reason to be excited for Earth Day. Yeah, that'll be so helpful, especially when we can come back in person, having like for a lot of things, having a center where you can go to learn about this will be, I can imagine I would want to visit for sure. And then also for schools, and just like even as the YECC, if we could take a trip there, that's fantastic. So,
We'd love to have you.
yeah, absolutely. We'd love to be there. More things to look forward to once everybody's vaccinated. Go get your vaccine if you haven't. Anyways, regardless, we're gonna do Q&A in a bit, but right before we do that, we want to just kind of finish off with, now that you have all this knowledge about food waste, trying to make a plan for food waste, for how to reduce your own food waste. So we're about to watch a video, which we just got the PowerPoint down because Susan is queuing up the video currently. We're going to watch a video that was produced actually by somebody who's from my high school. So her name's Sasha Melamed, and she did this video project with her parents where they tried to reduce food waste for a week. And she produced it. It's been on, I think it's Love Your Food. That is an organization that has put out this video, promoted it. It's been put out widely because it's so good. It's only 3 minutes, and it really walks through just a week in life of a family trying to reduce food waste. And it's something that, you can apply to your own homes too. Try to do this experiment. Make a video of it. Make it fun. Yeah, I believe it's all ready to go now. So we're going to watch.
Hi, I'm Kathy Melamed.
And I'm Paul Melamed.
And we are going to try to reduce our food waste over the course of a week.
Yep. I think the first thing we'll do is clean out the fridge. We probably got some old stuff in there. It's kind of gross.
And step 2, then we'll go first we'll plan our meals for the week, and then we will go food shopping specifically for those meals.
But then we'll do that. We're going to do some composting, I think. Right?
Yes.
Anything that's...
We actually have a composter.
Yeah, we do.
Believe it or not. We actually have
Sometimes we don't use it, though.
we don't use it at all.
Yeah. I'm excited to think more about what we cook and what we waste and what we eat. I think, I bet you just thinking about it makes a big difference. Okay. Let me just see what this is. Ooh, November. Ooh. All right, so I cleaned out the fridge. Didn't take that long, but surprised at some of the stuff that's in there. Spaghetti sauce, ancient. Some meat, ancient. Oh, and the salads, the lettuce. We buy so much and we never eat it. I don't know what's the deal. But now I can go cook. I'm gonna cook tonight, get that done with. And then I'll plan for tomorrow, go shopping, and I'll make sure that we don't buy as much. It's been 3 days. We've been consciously trying to not have food waste. We went shopping only for 3 days. We figured if we went too long, we'd waste food. So every 3 days we're gonna go shopping. So when I go shopping, the list helps a lot. Seeing what's on it, making sure that I don't, just go on impulse and buy on impulse. That usually makes me buy too much.
For the next 3 days, I'm feeling more relaxed than I was about planning, but I'm still a little bit, I don't know, am I going to plan the right things? Am I going to imagine that I'm going to have enough?
We'll see how it goes. But I think it's going to be fine. I mean, I feel good about what we're doing, and I think we're ready for the next 3 or 4 days. So this is the last day. It's been about a week where we've been, consciously trying to eliminate food waste, and I really like it. It's a lot easier just thinking about it and doing it than I thought it would be. I actually think it's a lot healthier. You know, thinking about not cooking as much and not eating as much. You know, it's ironic. I thought that, you know, oh, I would be hungry all the time, or I'd be eating everything and I'd be eating more. But really, I think I'm cooking less, so I'm eating less. Well, just because the project's over, I don't think I'm going to change that much in terms of cooking and planning. I mean, I like it. What's really interesting is like we're just doing this on a small scale, and it's not so hard. And I think if a lot of people do it, I mean, I bet you it makes a big difference. I bet you it would be really easy, you know, if other people in the United States did it, you know, just starting on a small scale, and then there'd be a big difference because, you know, if each family did it, then it would, you know, multiply.
Awesome. Well, wasn't that a great video, right?
It really was. Who did that video, Caitlin?
Sasha Melamed, she is a senior at Mamaroneck High School.
Thank you.
That was a wonderful video, and I want to give a shout out for the recycling right that I saw there, washing that jar. That is thumbs up for that family. They're on top of their recycling.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was also very well done, as a whole. Entertaining, nice. Yeah, so that is the goal. Everybody can embark on their own 1 week journey and hopefully lifetime journey of reducing food waste. But you know, you start, you see how you adapt, you figure out how it works in your own household, and together we can really change the world. So I'm gonna put in the chat a couple of links. One of them is I think that I have a limit to the number of characters I can put in this, so I'm going to do links in 2 separate chats. The first one is from the EPA, and these are just general links. Feel free, if any of our speakers have other links too that are county specific, they can put that, but I just found these resources helpful. So one of them is from the EPA and talks about planning in terms of food waste reduction. Both of these relate to the video. And then the other one is actually from Ireland. And it is they're super good about food waste there, and it's a handout. So it's a specific PDF, I think it's like 20 pages, and it like walks you through different steps to reduce food waste. So it's a nice summary of what we have talked about today. And if that's helpful for you, I know that I like handouts, I like checking things off, then definitely feel free to go and check those out. Apologies, my radiator decided to turn on, if you could hear that. Great. Okay, and now we're going to go into a Q&A section. So does anybody have any questions for any of our speakers? Actually, before we start this, Claudio, do you want to give your part of the presentation another shot? Just so that in case anybody asks about feudal Europe, just to make sure like we've covered that base.
Yeah, sure. It's all working fine, right? You can hear me? Yeah, all right, great. Sorry about that. Yeah. So to wrap it up, feudal Europe the food waste was broadly in class, region, and religion. However, mainly the noble class were pressured by religion, not to waste food, and the peasant and serf classes were pressured mainly by material conditions, not to waste food, because or else they would starve. And this was pretty much the entire gist of it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There are also some specifics about the burgher class, which is essentially the merchant class of Europe, which towards the end of the feudal age began to have less and less of an outlook on food waste as well.
And Claudia, we
I'll
lost you
lose them.
again. Yeah. Well, got most of it in. That's good. Did a good summary. That went over majority. Is there any like final words you want to say?
Nope. Sorry for cutting in and out, but yeah, that's it.
Oh, technology. We're almost out of this. It's okay. Okay, then in terms of Q&A, now that we have all our bases covered, anybody have any questions? If not, I can also start us out here.
I do have a comment, not really a question. I would like for everybody that's participating today in this webinar to reach out to your local environmental committee, the whatever's with your municipality, your municipal appointed. They're the ones that are going to push to have a food scrap recycling program in your municipality, much like what Melissa was talking about. It's a voluntary program. It doesn't really cost much to get it started. And then, as Melissa said, the county is really picking up a good portion of the cost on the transportation and design. It's not completely free, but it's cost neutral because it's the same price as if they put that into their garbage. It's the same price as what our normal tipping fee is for transportation and disposal. So again, I'm just asking you to reach out to your local environmental committee and to your town hall or village hall and say you want a recycling program in your municipality.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, just to feed on that a little bit while we're waiting for some questions here, you're correct. So the startup costs for a drop-off program are going to be, you need to have a location that's approved by the state, and you need to have appropriate signage and appropriate containers to store the food waste. But yes, you are correct that it would be the exact same price as if you threw it in your garbage if you're a district municipality. So that is something, and feel free to, send the notes out. And if someone from your local group has questions, they can certainly reach out to me. I can put my information in the chat box also. They can certainly reach out to me and we'd be happy to explain the program and go over it. And we've presented to boards other than our wonderful Board of Legislators, which I noticed we have with Mary Jane Shimsky, and I saw Damon Marr, and I saw Ruth Walter also on. But yes, this is a program that they also approved through the board, but we've met with local boards too if they have questions about it, and we are willing to do that. So I'll put my contact information in the chat, and if anyone has any questions that they can't think of, they can certainly reach out to us.
Thank you, Melissa. Hopefully you will hear me as I've had technical difficulties, but many people know that, youth bureaus work to assist young people in developing self-sufficiency skills, and certainly this is one of them. But in terms of the workforce, I'm just curious for the young people that are out there, how did some of the panelists begin their careers? What led them to do what they're doing? I noticed that you are an attorney, Esquire's at the end of your name. I know that our legislators are on the line, like Dr. Shimsky, although she is not a panelist. Pete McCart has had lengthy experience in government. So this goes out to any adult that would like to answer that may, assist a young person as they start career pathing for themselves. What led you to your career, and what makes you passionate about what you're doing now in terms of sustainability and environmental stewardship?
I'll go first because I'll be quick. I started out much the same way that Caitlin's starting out, and the rest of you started out. I started out, as a volunteer, and I lived in Manhattan for 31 years, and it was just commonplace, recycling and being sustainable because resources are tight, and this and that. And I came up to Westchester about 15 years ago, and it really wasn't the same. So I got involved with my environment. Well, we didn't have an environmental committee, but I helped create one in Eastchester, and then I got involved with. I said, there's multiple these environmental committees, green committees. They all have different names, but they're all doing the same thing. And I wanted to bring them and join them all together. And through that, we created a Southern Westchester Environmental Action Committee council of all the committees. And then from there, we joined with a northern group to create Sustainable Westchester. And Sustainable Westchester really is a powerful force, filled a vacuum, if you will, that there was here in the county. And I sit on the board there. So just, basically just volunteering and getting involved on a local basis, and then just kind of moving up the chain, if you will, and to the point, and politics all the way through. But elections have consequences, as I often say, and we're very fortunate here in the county because we have our boss who is as Melissa can attest, gets it. He sees the science. He he understands. He's a man of the people. It's cliche to say, but he truly is. And he's been, we'll bring something to him, and he'll look it through, and he's like, makes sense to me. Let's do it. So, and then we're actually fortunate to have, the governor that we have now. And he's been very helpful. But a lot of the municipalities are very fortunate too with their. So elections do have consequences. I know Caitlin is involved with that, and most of you probably are. And so that's my story.
Thank you. Melissa, could you share just how you ended up in the environmental department and what it is that is your passion behind this?
Sure. Elections have consequences for Pete. They really that was only legal work for me. I did not go that route. My first environmental experience is actually, somewhat similar probably to some of the youth on the call, which was when I was in high school. Wow, that was a long time ago. There was not a bottle or can recycling going on in my high school. And I annoyed the administration until there was one. So that was sort of my first step into it. And then I spent a lot of years doing municipal law, and that somehow led me down a path into environmental law. And from there, it just kind of blossomed. I was working very closely with the Department of Environmental Facilities on some environmental matters, and it just sort of rolled into the position that I have now. And it's something that I think a lot of people are interested in, maybe don't necessarily see a path, but when it opens before you, you take it. And that's sort of what happened with me. And we sat down and we met with Pete, and as we mentioned, Deputy Commissioner Vitrone, we got into a room, he and I, and we hammered out some ideas and took them back to Pete and hammered them some more. And before you know it, as he said, our CE just gets it. And he and our Director of Operations just said, yes, make these things happen. And that's what we did. So we're very happy about it, very proud. And it really is a great thing to do. But how to get into it, if it's something that you care about, that sort of just becomes a piece of it. And maybe it's not necessarily your work right away, but maybe there's something that leads you there. So I'm sure you don't want to hear all my law background. That's not fun for much of anyone. Look at Pete's shaking his head no. But that, like I said, it's just being involved, and it's being ready to step up. I mean, I find that that's important in life, just for the youth to know. It's a little bit off topic because it could be for anything, but if you're just willing to step up and put your head down and work, things show up and things happen and ideas come into your mind, and you just have to make them a reality. So
Good point.
Thank you.
Show up and show up on time and be ready to work, and things will pop up. Opportunities will arise. Very true.
Do any of our young people have questions? Because I could always ask, but I'd like more for you all to get what you need out of this session. So are there any other questions that you have?
I do have a brief one that comes up, I think, too, if I talk with other people about food scrap recycling, which here in Mamaroneck, we're fortunate to have a program. My family makes use of that. But we also have a composting bin in our backyard that we've had for a while. And I think that's something that comes up that's been a discussion in my family and with people that I've talked to about this as well, is what is the difference between having a bin in your backyard and having municipal food scrap recycling?
Pete, you want to take it?
No,
You go ahead. Oh, he muted. Okay. I guess it's no. Yeah, so that's interesting. So there's a couple of things. As noted in the video, some people may have a bin and not actually use the bin. So that is the first big difference, is if you have to be willing to actually use it. But one of the things that's important is that things don't break down in a home bin the same way they might break down in a municipal bin. So you're probably not putting bones, for example, that's the best example, in your backyard bin, but you can put them in a municipal bin. So really they work hand in hand. If you have that opportunity the way you do, and you can compost at home and not have that carbon footprint of taking it anywhere, that's great. But you can compost more in a municipal program.
Yeah, that's it. There's a few other little pieces, but the big one is bones, fats, oils, those sort of things or you can still put them in with the municipal. It's like it's almost industrial composting on a large scale that'll really break it down. It won't do it. I've been composting in my backyard as soon as I moved up to Westchester, and we love it. Every year we take something out and we add it to our garden. It's important. That's why I really push for the compost bins and the rain barrels. Do it at home. Do it before it becomes waste, before it gets into the waste stream and your municipality's trucking it here and we're trucking it there. We want to minimize that. So that's why home composting is very, very important.
Yeah, that definitely helps clarify some stuff.
I will say also, and Melissa can really step in on this, is that if we take food waste is known for being very liquidy, right? I mean, it's got a lot of water content as opposed to our other garbage. If we could take that liquid out of our waste stream, that's going to help with our, number one, it's very heavy. So if you can take that out of that waste stream, it's very helpful. But also, we incinerate everything. We don't landfill anything here in Westchester, part of the refuse disposal district. If we could take that liquid out of that waste stream that goes into the incinerator, think about the burn rate that you're going to get. It's going to be much more efficient and be just better than if you add it in. Am I correct on that, Melissa?
Yes, you're correct. Everything within Westchester's district, so 90% of the population within Westchester is part of our refuse disposal district. And that waste, all the municipal waste, goes to the energy from waste plant, Wheelabrator. And it creates steam, it creates electric to power, and it also recovers metals. So if you throw something away that has a small amount of metal, it is ultimately removed and repurposed. So we do not landfill. That is a very important point, Peter. I'm glad you raised that. I try and mention it whenever I can because it is important. But yeah, there's a heavy weight. There's a lot of, it's called leachate. It's garbage liquid, basically. And it's a very heavy item, and food scraps are very full of it. They do produce a lot of it. And when you're composting, it's actually something that can be used to further the compost. So it is very important, but there is a good use for it, and it does do a lot to improve your compost and have that be a very good usable product at the end.
I would like to say something that doesn't really have too much to do with food scrap recycling, but it is about recycling. That we here in Westchester, members of the district, as we call it, the refuse disposal district, which is, as she said, over 90% of the population. It's everything except for up in the Bedford corner up there and the northeast corner of the county are members of the district. We recycle and everything is recycled. There's been a lot of stuff on the New York Times. It's been on 60 Minutes. It's in the papers. It's all over that, the world isn't recycling, that you're putting it in the recycling bin and then they're just going to go burn it or landfill. That's not the case here in Westchester. And that's because we source separate. It's because all the good work that we do here in Westchester at our homes, we separate the waste, the recycling out. We have their paper and cardboard separate from our glass and plastic, and that makes a big difference when we're trying to market those materials on the open market, and we get paid for it. Well, I roughly always say it's about $4 million we got last year for our recyclables. It might be a little bit down from that. Melissa, do you know the number?
So, I mean, it's true that the recycling markets have taken a hit. A lot of people talk about this national sword policy that came out of China. But I will say that Westchester has had the ability to maintain domestic markets because, again, as Pete is saying, a lot of areas do what's called single stream recycling, which is you throw everything in one container. You take your jar that you just washed out and you throw it in a bin, and in goes your cardboard with it. And the cardboard gets wet and the glass breaks and it embeds little pieces into the cardboard. So that product is not as valuable. So in Westchester, our separation, our dual stream recycling, where we separate all the paper materials, all the pulps from all of your what we call commingled bottles, cans, jars, and actually cartons, which go into the commingled. they are separated, so it does come out to be a little bit cleaner product, and it does allow us to maintain the sales. So that is a good thing. And we did have domestic markets as, you know, as things booked up. But again, it's very important that we reach all aspects of it. So it is recycling right, and it is adding in this food scraps is really the next step in bringing down our waste across the board.
Melissa, Peter, if I could weigh in for 1 second with respect to the revenue that is generated. Actually, good news. Versus last year, our revenue has gone up quite a bit. And some items, for instance, plastics. Number 2, plastic. It's an HDPE natural. An example of that would be a gallon jug of milk. We're receiving over $800 a ton for that. Okay.
Well, and those numbers are also, you know, they change based on markets and they change monthly.
Correct.
But I think to Sean's point, we, you know, there is recovery being made, and we are making best efforts to constantly upgrade. You know, that's the other thing that's important. So while yes, the education end of it and everyone recycling at home, rinsing out the jars, as I pointed out in the video, and keeping everything separate, that's important. But we also, you know, we go out and we make sure that we have sorters that are appropriate. So we have both hand pickers and we have optical sorters in the facility. So we really try to keep up to date with our facilities so that we can package these materials and make them attractive to potential buyers.
Little off topic.
So it
but I think
sounds
it's
like
important
we,
to know.
yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like we also talked about the financial aspect to this and the benefit of, you know, food scrapping and recycling. And so I thank you for that, Mr. O'Rourke, because, you know, young people should really know the depth of these things and, you know, how it relates to the workforce. Again, you know, part of the things that we kind of underscore with young people is careers and what high growth industries would look like. And, you know, now with, you know, some pending bills that may be passed that supports infrastructure and the environment and climate, we want to prepare, especially our high school students, for high growth industries and jobs that will be in demand. So thank you for bringing up that financial piece. And if there was anything you wanted to share about your background, please do so. I apologize that I did not ask you after Melissa.
Not at all. We're all fraternal here. Love for the earth, love for the environment. I was in the Department of Environmental Facilities almost from the onset of recycling. The recycling law went into the books in September 1st, 1992. And I came on board in September of 1992. So I've been able to see the MRF, our material recovery recycling facility, from its infancy, when in the first year we recycled 45,000 tons, to today where we recycled almost 80,000 tons. We've seen different classes. One other thing, when we were talking about the financial aspects, recycling makes sense, obviously, on an environmental, but also from an economic standpoint. Because when a municipality tips garbage, brings garbage in, they're charged a tipping fee, almost like $29. When a municipality brings recyclables into the MRF, they're charged $0. So obviously it would behoove a municipality to get as many tons onto the recycling side of the solid waste ledger.
As long as it is being recycled right. we want to make sure that those items are clean, because otherwise what happens is our equipment, which is, as I said, we try and keep that very well up to date, will pull it out. So, you know, luckily we do have that option, but you also don't want to have anything in there that becomes contamination and then makes the product harder to recycle. And that is, I think, what Pete started with, which is some of these news reports that some locations are not truly recycling. And, you know, I don't want to speak for all of them, but some of them have been issues where their recyclables aren't clean, or they can't separate the materials appropriately in order to actually find buyers for them. But we in Westchester, and thanks to our residents and all the support that we've received from the government on all ends, you know, we really do focus quite well on making sure that our recyclables are clean and moving ourselves forward toward less waste. Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, we have state-of-the-art facilities, no doubt. Our waste-to-energy plant in Wheelabrator and Peekskill is state-of-the-art, and so is our material recovery facility there in Yonkers. It's state-of-the-art. We recycle almost all plastics, right, Sean? 1 through 7?
That is correct, Peter. In 2011, this state-of-the-art facility, we retrofitted to allow for additional classes of plastic. Originally, if we were doing just plastics number 1 and number 2, now we're doing 3 through 7. On the garbage end, in the mid-90s, knowing that there were going to be, like the Clean Air Act, that the standards were going to become even more stringent, the county was proactive in earmarking additional funds to retrofit to make the anti-pollution devices there even more up to date. And so, as Peter said, the MRF, the waste to energy plant up in Charles Point, state of the art. This is a method of garbage disposal. That place up in Charles Point, note, very progressive solid waste programs. In Germany, where the Green Dot program, product stewardship, that's the birthplace of that. Switzerland, Finland, they're using resource recovery facilities, these facilities that use waste to energy technology to produce electricity. Garbage in Westchester, as Peter mentioned, does not go to a landfill. Creates electricity, furnishes the needs of over 63,000 households.
And Caitlin, as you mentioned, you would perhaps be joining us at some point at Composted for a tour. When COVID is not active as it is now, we do actually do tours of the MRF, which is the material recovery facility. That's where all of the recyclables within the district go to be processed and separated. We do tours for schools, and it's a pretty popular field trip, I do believe.
I actually may have been there when I was in first grade. I think I did. Yeah, I was there. That's really cool. That's a nice connection to have. I do want to be conscious that we are going a little bit over an hour, and I recognize that this is a Friday evening, people are probably getting a little bit of Zoom fatigue. So maybe we wrap it up. If there are any further comments we want to end on, or anybody has any further questions as well. Hearing none, I believe we can wrap up for the evening. This has been awesome. I've learned a lot. I hope that everybody here has learned a lot. Again, we had quite this ending discussion has been great. We had quite the collection of individuals on this call, and so it's really nothing like it. Well, we could have it in person. However, this has been fantastic for what it has been. And yeah, I think we can wrap up for the evening. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. We really appreciate your support of everything that's happening in Westchester in relation to food waste, and also of the YECC and the Westchester County Youth Bureau. We'll be sure to have more events like these coming soon. Yeah.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you all for a wonderful job to the young people of the YECC, fabulous panelists. We've learned a lot from this combination, this intergenerational collaborative. So thank you. Also, thank you again to our boss, George Latimer, as well as the Westchester County Board of Legislators who are on today, and the viewers that are out there. So we look forward to our videographer making magic out of this. And as I said in the chat, we post some of our videos in our library, our playlist, which is found on the Westchester County Youth Bureau site. So once we have this edited, we will make sure to post this on our website for the future and to be shared with other young people. Thank you again. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.